Hello. Good morning, everyone. Please let's settle in. We are starting now. We're sorry for the late start, but we are starting now. Kindly take your seats. Thank you very much. You are all welcome to the 2024 edition of the Quality Week. Please, can we settle in and please stop talking so that we can start the program? Thank you very much. You are all welcome to the 2024 edition of the Quality Week. The theme, Think Research, Think Quality, Think Involvement, Building a Quality System Together. We thank all of you for making time to be here with us. We acknowledge the presence of the JICA Ghana office and all other invited guests from Ghana Standards Authority and CSIR. Thank you all for being here. Yes, we've come to someone's house, so we would, at this point, want to invite our quality director, the director of the NOGUCHI Memorial Institute for Medical Research, Professor Dorothy Yebuamenu, to give us her opening remarks. Let's welcome her with applause.
Marco-san and colleagues from the JICA Ghana office, the heads of departments, institute administrator, my good friends and staff of the NOGUCHI Memorial Institute for Medical Research, a very good morning to you all. Oh, we are in Lent season, but that doesn't mean that we are mourning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Even if we are fasting, we have to show that we are doing it in all happiness. I'm very happy this morning to once again welcome you to the conference facility of the Great NOGUCHI Memorial Institute for Medical Research. I am told this week, and I know it's going to be the week of the weeks. We are very happy, and we thank the quality team for putting together a splendid program to arouse our interest in quality management system. Last year, when we had the first Quality Week, the theme was Think Quality, Think Research, Think NOGUCHI. For some reason, this has changed to be what? Think Quality, Think Research, Think what? Getting involved. I'm sure this is an appropriate call for this year, looking at where we are within our quest to get the Institute accredited to make us the first unit within a university in Ghana to get accreditation. Can we please clap for NOGUCHI Memorial Institute? Welcome, madam. We are grateful that you came. You know, our institute has something. We always set the pace. Within the University of Ghana, at a certain point, there was no unit that had an Office of Research Support. Even the main university didn't have it. NOGUCHI, a pace setter, did it first. And when we have advanced, then the university saw the need to have ORID. So for those who don't know, NOGUCHI had ORS before ORID came into being. At a certain point, NOGUCHI saw there's a need to look at ethics. So NOGUCHI established an ethics office for the first time in the university and for the first time on a university campus. And then now, the university now has what? Ethics. And now, in fact, they are now looking after our ethics. Then NOGUCHI thought about, we are doing animal experimentation. We need to have the Naya cook. Now we know that there's no Naya cook. Now it's what? Aya cook. Yeah. So NOGUCHI is doing well. Again, we've seen that we cannot move forward without looking at the quality of what we are doing. We want our clients to be certified that when NOGUCHI say this is this, since it's from NOGUCHI, then we are satisfied that it is authentic. This is what we are trying to do together. Who wants to be with Noguchi in this quest? We all want to. Oh, I've seen hands already raising. Please clap for yourselves for raising your hands that you want to be involved. Please, the quality, the theme, make us all aware that this quest is not that of the director, not the administrator, not the heads of department, not Dr. Susanna Duamankwa, and definitely not Raymond, nor the safety for Dr. Charles Quay. They cannot do this alone. Every person in Noguchi, from the top to whoever thinks of him or herself as down, has to be involved. Without you, there will be no quality at Noguchi. And therefore, what this team is telling you that you are needed. Noguchi needs you. Noguchi needs your participation, and that you will cherish your participation. Shall we all join together to do this? However, we say in our language, we say that we are doing this. What to it? You can never do anything without money, isn't it? And for that matter, can we give JICA an applause for agreeing to fund us? On that note, we want to tell JICA that we appreciate you. We are very, very happy with the cooperation. It's been fruitful. It's given our institute the opportunity to do several initiatives, and this is one of them. We look forward to continue to work together to improve global health. Our friends who are here this morning, we want to tell that Noguchi needs even you. Please get involved so that together we can build a formidable, a sustainable quality management system at Noguchi. On that note, I would like to welcome you to the Noguchi conference room. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, our quality director. That was an excellent delivery. She mentioned something in Chi that has to do with money. I won't attempt. So let me just say we need money. And at this point, we want to acknowledge the sponsors of the 2024 Quality Week celebrations. Of course, JICA are the main holders of the project, the QMS project here. We have Sysmex, Michiu Corporation, Sumitomo Corporation, SIC Life are the external sponsors. We also had sponsorship from within, and that is very encouraging. Some projects from Noguchi supported this week celebration. And the projects, I don't know their names, but I know the names of the leads. So I'm going to mention the leads, the PIs of those projects that gave us money. We want to say we thank them very much. So we have projects led by Professor Michael Ufori, Professor Kofi Boni, Professor Kofi Odum, Dr. Ivy Asantiwa Asanti, Dr. Chantel Agbamebiese, Professor Kojo Koram, and then Professor Kojo Asamoah-Kwesi. Then we have Professor Irene Ayi. So we can see that from within we are already involved. We are trying to give our best to this project. If you are here, you are a PI, you haven't contributed yet, like myself, please, next year, we are looking for your name on the list. Thank you all for being here. At this, okay. So we have in our Mrs. Antonia Ando Odum. She is the quality manager for Food Research Institute. Well, let's clap for her for being here. We are also expecting reps from the Ghana Standards Authority. Are they here yet? Thank you for coming. I'll get her name and introduce her properly. We want to slot in 5 minutes for reps from the CSIR Food Research Institute and GSA to give us a few comments before we continue. So since Mrs. Ando Odum came first, I'll give her the floor to just give us a fraternal greeting, and then we'll take it from there. Let's welcome her, please.
Good morning to you all. Greetings from CSR Food Research Institute, and I'm very happy to be part of your Quality Week. Quality is everyone's business, so I believe that we will all work together, collaborate to make sure that our quality systems work very well in our respective institutes. Have a great week. Thank you.
Okay, so the rep from Ghana Standards Authority is Madam Charlotte Hebiji. Madam Charlotte, kindly greet us.
Good morning to you all. We are really happy to be part of your Quality Week celebration. At Ghana Standards Authority, we have the Systems Certification Department that certify industries to ISO standards and others management system certification. So it is a wish that you come to us. In fact, we are the cheapest you can find in the country at the moment. You will come to us to seek certification of your system, preferably to quality management systems, ISO 9001. If you come to us, I can bet you we will give you a good quote. Thank you.
Hey, Madam Charlotte, you are using my platform for advertisement. You will pay. All right, thank you very much. We are happy you are here. And once again, we acknowledge the presence of staff from the JICA Ghana office, and then Ghana Standards Authority and Food Research Institute of the CSIR, and all the other people. We acknowledge the presence of the Institute Administrator, the Institute Accountant, senior members, heads of departments, quality managers, quality coordinators, and all staff of the Institute. We thank you for making time to be here. Thank you. We continue right away. We invite our one and only, the Institute Quality Manager, Bakupe, Dr. Susan Edu Amankwa. She's outdooring the quality binder for us. Auntie Sue.
Acting Director, while the Director has stepped out, Professor Ofori, distinguished guests, sponsors, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. So it is with great pride and pleasure that I stand before you today to mark another significant milestone in our journey towards excellence, the official launching of our Institute's Quality Binder. Now, this significant occasion represents the accumulation of tireless dedication, unwavering commitment, and a collective vision to uphold the highest standards in all aspects of our operations. Our Quality Binder serves as a testament to our steadfast resolve to deliver reliable, accurate, and trustworthy products being researched and our services to our clients and stakeholders. At the heart of our Quality Binder lies a steadfast commitment to quality in every facet of our work. It embodies an unwavering dedication to customer satisfaction, adherence to regulatory requirements, and continuous improvement. With its comprehensive framework, clear guidelines, and robust processes, the Quality Binder will serve as our guiding light, ensuring consistency, reliability, and excellence in all that we do. I'm sure some of you are wondering, What happened to the quality manual? Well, in a world where things change rapidly, and with that in mind, we have taken our trusty quality manual and given it a fresh, modern makeover. The new presentation reflects our commitment to quality, innovation, and creativity. So why the change? Simply put, we believe in the power of evolution and continuous improvement. In our growth towards a culture of quality, we realize that certain things change rapidly, and as an innovative biomedical research facility, we keep on adding cutting-edge technology and being responsive to current trends and advancements in science. But let me assure you, it is not just an exterior thing. While the presentation may be new, the essence of what makes our products exceptional remains unchanged. Inside our binder, you will find the same high-quality documents, the same attention to detail, and the same dedication to excellence that all have come to know and trust. This document not only sets out our policies and procedures, it is a reflection of our collective ethos, values, and aspirations. It underscores our wavering commitment to integrity, professionalism, and accountability. Each page speaks volumes of our dedication to quality, our respect for our clients, and our responsibility to society. As we embark on establishing a quality culture guided by our quality binder, let us remember that quality is not a destination, but a journey. It requires constant vigilance, relentless pursuit of improvement, and unremitting dedication from each one of us. Together, involved, let us embrace this journey with enthusiasm, determination, and a shared commitment to excellence. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all those who have contributed to the development of the quality binder, the diligent team members who meticulously crafted its contents, and the visionary leaders who provided guidance and support. And of course, our valued stakeholders, being all of you, whose feedback and insights were invaluable in shaping this document. As we launch our binder today, let us reaffirm, all of us, our collective pledge to uphold the highest standards of quality in everything that we do. Let us harness the power of this document to drive forward positive change, inspire excellence, and elevate our facility to new heights of success. Thank you for your unflinching support, your dedication, and your commitment. Together, involved, let us embark on this journey towards excellence with confidence, conviction, and a steadfast belief in our ability to make a difference. So here is to a future with quality, with integrity, with unparalleled success. We are all involved. In fact, if I could sing that song, like I was singing it, we are all involved. We are all involved. We are all involved in building our quality system. So,
Thank you very much, our quality manager, Baakupe. And now I know she can sing too, so we'll be singing it to rehearse it at the end. Before we close, we'll sing. We are all involved in building our quality system. Okay. This time I want to acknowledge a rep from SISMEX who has joined us. They are one of our funders. And also acknowledge the sponsorship received from all the other groups, SISMEX, Meet You Corporation, Sumitomo, SIC Life, and the PIs I mentioned earlier. Then, of course, JICA, the main sponsors. Okay. Please, you're making a little arrangement. The screen at the foyer of ARL is streaming the event. And we want as many as are standing, don't have seats here. If you can sit, there are seats arranged there so you can watch the program for there. So please, if you are standing here, there are seats arranged at the foyer of ARL. The screen there is showing the event. So you can conveniently sit and join us from there. Thank you. Okay. We now have the keynote talk for today's activity. And it's going to be delivered by Dr. Tied Datema. Dr. Datema is a CEO and Senior Advisor, Laboratory Systems Training at Datos. He advises medical laboratories, governments, and international organizations worldwide on laboratory strengthening. In this context, he has conducted numerous advisory missions across Africa, South and Southeast Asia, Central Asia, the Middle East, and Eastern Europe. Tied is a certified internal auditor, ISO 15189, and has served as Deputy Quality Officer of the WHO, FAO, and OIE International Leptospirosis Reference Laboratory in the Netherlands. He was the lead developer of the WHO Laboratory Quality Stepwise Implementation Tool, the SLIFTER. In October 2020, he received a PhD degree for his research on strengthening health laboratories in low and middle income countries through implementation of a quality management system. He is the course coordinator and the lead trainer of international courses on laboratory quality management and biorisk management. And he conducts laboratory audits, assessments to improve laboratory diagnostic and surveillance capacity and improve emergency preparedness using a risk-based approach. Dr. Tied, I believe with this profile, more than qualifies to give us the keynote for today. Shall we, with a clap offering, offer him, Dr. Tied Datema, the floor to give us the keynote. He will be speaking to us virtually. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Institute Director, Professor Dorothy Yobel-Hamel, Institute Administrator, Mr. Theodore Amuru, Institutional Quality Manager, Dr. Susan Anomagwa, Director of the Food Research Institute's Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, Dr. Charlotte Olpodulu, Quality Manager of the Food Research Institute, CSIR, Antonia Ando-Oro, Quality Team Member of the Food Research Institute, CSIR, Ebenezer Taiwan, Director of the Ghana Standards Authority, Professor Alex Dodo, all heads of departments, all department quality managers, senior members, senior staff, junior staff, students, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly a great honor for me to be invited to provide the keynote address to this year's Quality Week at the NOGUCHI Memorial Institute for Medical Research, which I think is such a unique and great event that distinguishes NOGUCHI from many institutes worldwide and tells you a lot about the mentality of the institute in a very positive laboratory scientist, I completed a Master's Biomedical Sciences, where I specialized into infectious diseases and international public health. And upon completing my Master's, I joined the Royal Tropical Institute's KIT Biomedical Research Department Laboratory Strengthening Unit, which was at that time the WHO Collaborating Center for Laboratory Strengthening. From 2016, my colleague Dr. Linda Oskam and I started Datos, which can basically be considered the continuation of the activities that we were doing at the Royal Tropical Institute. And I was fortunate enough to be able to conduct my PhD research during my work at the Royal Tropical Institute and at Datos. And in 2020, I received a PhD degree upon defending my PhD thesis titled Strengthening Health Laboratories in Low and Middle Income Countries Through Implementation of a Quality Management System. So you could really say quality management is my core expertise. So let me tell you a bit about Datos. So Datos is an organization that operates in the field of laboratory strengthening at all levels with a focus on low and middle income countries. So we strive to create a world in which sustainable health laboratory systems provide high quality services carried out by competent staff in safe and well-equipped laboratories that are readily accessible to everyone. Now, what do we do to achieve this? Well, we, as I said, work on all different levels. We assist individual laboratories, but we also work at strengthening complete laboratory systems and networks at country level. So, for example, we assist national governments and international organizations on development of national laboratory policies and strategic plans, national laboratory quality standards. We design and also assess national laboratory networks and systems. But of course, we also assist individual laboratories and laboratory professionals. We give a lot of training, we conduct audits and assessments, and we provide advice and mentor on topics such as quality management, bio-risk management, and management and leadership. And many of our training courses can also be provided in a training of trainers format, so that we really maximize the impact the participants of our courses can provide the trainings they followed themselves to their colleagues and peers in the country and at their institutes. We also have developed quite a number of laboratory strengthening tools, among which the one that was just mentioned, the WHO Laboratory Quality Stepwise Implementation Tool, an online tool that assists laboratories on a day-to-day basis with implementation of a quality management system. And we, of course, assist and we design and assist with the implementation of projects on all the above areas. And both my colleague Dr. Linda Oskam and I are academically trained, so we always try whatever possible to collect data to support or to build the evidence base underlying our activities to really see, do they make sense and can we improve them? So a couple of examples of where we have conducted these kind of activities. So we have assisted quite a number of countries with developing their national laboratory policies and strategic plans, among others in Oman, in Tajikistan, in Central Asia, Moldova, Kyrgyzstan, in the Middle East, in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and also in Africa, in Sudan and Uganda. We have conducted laboratory network and system assessments and strengthening activities in Malawi, Nepal, Philippines, and Sierra Leone, amongst others. And actually, in Sierra Leone, we collaborated with NOGUCHI Institute, where we were strengthening their laboratory system through Professor William Mampovo of the virology department. We provided numerous trainings on laboratory quality management in many different countries worldwide, which you see listed here on the slide. And this is again where our path crossed when the quality management system unit members of Noguchi followed one of our training courses in laboratory quality management in the Netherlands a couple of years ago. Well, we guided quite a number of laboratories towards ISO 15189 accreditation, amongst others the National Tuberculosis Reference Laboratories of Uganda, Benin and Myanmar. And well, we developed a number of tools, the WHO LQSI tool, as I already mentioned, and the past years we have also worked on developing a tool that assists countries in a stepwise manner with developing their national essential diagnostics lists to really strengthen their diagnostic system. We did that for the Foundation for Innovative New Diagnostics, FIND. So today I would like to cover 4 different topics around quality management. I thought it would be nice to start off with telling you a bit about the history of quality management and how we have ended up with the modern day quality management principles that we are implementing today. Because this gives you really nice understanding that around the why, the reason why you are doing the things that you are doing. Why do they make sense? After that, I will give you a short refresher on quality management principles, and I will introduce a bit the ISO 15189 new version, the 2022 version for medical laboratories, especially the key changes that I think are relevant for you compared with its previous version, ISO 15189 2012. And I will finish with discussing the importance of collaboration and involvement in quality management. But first, let's explore the evolution of quality management, a tale of trial and error. Before we do that, let's make sure that we are all on the same page when it comes to understanding the definition of quality. So the formal definition of quality is shown here on the slide. According to the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, quality is the degree to which a set of inherent characteristics of an object fulfills customer requirements. Now, of course, as is the case often with very formal definitions, is that you have to read them 3 times before you can fully comprehend them. But when you do this, you will see that quality is basically meeting customers' requirements. That is what we are always saying. Quality is meeting your customers' requirements. I'm a very fond runner. One of my hobbies is running. I run a lot. And when I have to buy running shoes, I have a set of requirements for them. They have to be soft, they have to support my feet excellently, and they should be durable, of course. Now, when I buy running shoes that meet these requirements, I will think of them as having good quality. They will be good quality shoes. When they do not meet my requirements, for example, they wear very rapidly, I will think of them as having poor quality. So quality is really meeting your customers' requirements. Now, what then is quality management? Well, if we focus on the laboratory, we can say that quality management ensures that laboratory services provide the right test result at the right time, on the right specimen, from the right patient, with the right test, at the right price, with the right result interpretation. This is a slide that we always show, and this is of course about more focused on laboratories that conduct clinical routine diagnostic testing. But for research laboratories and any other test or calibration laboratories, it is no different. Doing the right things right. And the requirements to quality management in the laboratory are encapsulated in the ISO standards 15189 and 17025 for test and calibration laboratories. Now, how then did we end up with these principles captured in these quality standards? For that, we have to go a long way back, a couple of 100 years back, actually. So, although we have always sought and desired quality before the 20th century, the management of quality was limited to 2 basic principles. Caveat emptor, which means let the buyer beware. And this is the principle that the buyer alone is responsible for checking the quality and suitability of goods before a purchase is made. The other principle is craftsmanship, where the buyer trusts the craftsman based on his skill and reputation. Apprentices learned the tricks of the trade from the craftsmen, upon which they became craftsmen themselves, and eventually could become masters, which could start their own shop or business. So the responsibility for quality was really at the customer side. Now, when trade started to cross the borders of cities, guilds started to be formed. The craftsmen started to organize themselves and formed so-called guilds. And guilds formulated strict requirements to the quality of the products produced by their members. So they formulated specifications for raw materials, processes, and final products. And they checked these products, the work, and the final products against these specifications. So here we see a painting by the famous Dutch master Rembrandt, who painted the sampling officials of the Drapers Guild. So this guild was dedicated to controlling the quality of the drapes being produced, which you see here on the table. And like this, there were many guilds for all types of products. Later, with the Industrial Revolution, came the rise of corporate industry, which started to overtake all those small independent shops and made them unprofitable. The craftsmen became factory workers, the masters became foremen. Now, initially, the approach to quality management remained the same and was still dependent on the skills and the competencies of the individual factory workers, sometimes with additional sampling and supervision undertaken. But over time, the factory started to develop specifications and establish measurement and control departments and implement standardization of their production processes. So here you really see the first forms of formal quality management approaches. Now, then we move to the 20th century. What did we see in the past 100 years with regard to quality management? So, in the past 100 years, we have seen an enormous rise in the range of products and services becoming available on the market, including the mass production of these products. Now, the concept of quality management evolved in a similar fashion. So, with the mass production came the concept called quality engineering. And the groundwork for this were laid by Walter A. Sheward and his team at Bell Telephone. So quality engineering basically means taking a statistical approach to your process control. So Walter Sheward and his team started to analyze the production processes and look specifically at the variations in these processes and tried to control these variations. Because by minimizing your variations, of course, you can increase the efficiency and also the reliability of your production processes. And from this, he developed the Sheward chart, or the statistical process control chart, as they are also called. And these are actually still used to this date. Then came the Second World War. And after the Second World War, we really see big developments around the involvement of modern-day quality management principles. And the initial spark for this was actually given by Japan, which at that time was struggling with a reputation of a producer of poor quality products caused mainly by the exports of products of inferior quality before the Second World War. Now, they wanted to change this. So after the Second World War, they launched a national program to improve the quality of their products and production processes. They started to send teams abroad to foreign companies to study their approach to quality management. It translated literature on quality management. International experts were invited to lecture and give courses on quality management. And this led to the development of unprecedented strategies, which were mainly characterized by ownership by top management, leading the quality revolution themselves, training in quality management involving all different levels and positions in an organization, continuous quality improvement efforts, including the establishment of quality circles, which were groups of trained employees who voluntarily participated in the design and implementation of solutions to problems and continuous improvement initiatives. So actually, here you already see 70 years ago the involvement of the entire organization and the top management in quality management was already recognized. Now, This strategy by Japan led to a major leap in the quality of Japanese products and international competitiveness. So the other countries, of course, had to respond. Now, when we look at the West, we see that this reaction to the Japanese threat, as they call it, you could call it, was initially very poor. They responded to this by decreasing the costs of their production processes, amongst others by outsourcing them to low-income countries. Now, over time, the price differences between the Western and the Japanese products decreased, while the quality differences continued to grow. And this, again, led to a considerable rise of the Japanese market share in the 1960s and 70s, especially when it comes to electronics, the automobile industry, steel and tools. So again, the West had to change this situation. The countries started to try and test all types of strategies, of which some were more useful than others. Now, one important person I want to mention in this presentation is Joseph Juran. He contributed to this quality movement in a very positive way when he published his quality control handbook, which to this day is still considered to be the Bible of quality management. And Joseph Juran, who, by the way, visited Japan many times, published the so-called Juran trilogy model, which divides quality management into 3 different management processes called quality planning, quality control, and quality improvements. And I will get back to this later. Now, in the last 4 decades, the concept of quality management further evolved. And what we see in the mid-1980s is the rise of the term total quality management, TQM, which can basically be considered a consolidation of the various theories on quality management developed in both Japan and the Western countries. And dimensions of the TQM model include top management support, customer relationship, supplier relationship management, and also the employees, the personnel, workforce management, and employee attitude and behavior. Again, I want to emphasize that involvement of all different stakeholders in quality management is very much on the forefront here, apart from the other elements focusing on optimizing your processes. In 1987, the ISO 9000 series of standards was published. And these were clearly incorporating those TQM, Total Quality Management Principles. Now, the ISO 9001 standards are not specific to any type of industry and can be applied and implemented by any organization of any size. The ISO 9001 standard of this series provides the requirements to quality management systems, again for any type of organization. And this has been, or still is, the most successful standard in the history of the International Organization for Standardization. And its success paved the way for other standards which are based on the ISO 9001 standard, including the standards for the laboratories ISO 15189 and ISO 17025. And this brings me to providing you with a short refresher on quality management principles that we know today. So how do we achieve quality? And for that, to understand that, you have to know that everything is a process. In any organization, also in the laboratory, we work with processes. And a process has an input and an output, and even the individual steps of a process have an input and an output. And the output of one process step is the input for the next. A process is also a chain, and a chain is unfortunately as strong as its weakest link. And that means that if one of the steps of this process do not go correctly, we cannot assure the quality of the end result of a process, our final product or final service. For example, if the process step in the laboratory of sample collection is not done correctly, we cannot assure the final result of the laboratory, the test result. And that means this applies to any process step. If the sample is not examined correctly, cannot assure the quality of the test result. If the result is not recorded correctly, again, we cannot assure the quality of our test results. Now, this tells you that in order to ensure the quality of your final results, of your laboratory results, you have to make sure that you control and assure quality of each process step. So you have to formulate quality standards, quality requirements for all your different process steps and make sure that they meet those quality standards. And it goes even further, because in each process step we use resources, which you could divide into human resources, materials, means. And let's take the sample transport and reception step that we have in our laboratory. For that we need human resources, a courier, and a trained reception technician. For materials, we will need a transport package, and also we need facilities, a reception area, and means, so documents and all types of forms, etc. We need a procedure for sample packaging and transport. We may need sample rejection criteria and also a procedure for sample reception. Again, also these resources, all the resources you use in your process and in your individual process step need to be complying with quality standards. And this is what your quality management system does for you. This is what quality management does for you. So the role of a quality management is ensuring proper sample collection. It ensures quality of the resources being used in the laboratory. And it helps you to ensure and to control quality of each individual process step. And taking the appropriate quality control measures, making sure that you not only ensure that you can do the work correctly, but also checking whether the work was done correctly in compliance with your quality standards. And your quality management system, by that, ensures quality of your results. And it goes even further, because a quality management system also pushes you to continuously look for opportunities for improvement, and by that, continuously improve your quality management system and your laboratory processes based on the plan, do, check, act cycle, which many of you might recognize. It's also called the Deming cycle. You plan your work, you do the work, but after you have done the work, you do not stop. You check the work, and if necessary, you act. In order to achieve this, the quality management system consists of different elements, 12 different elements, focusing on the resources, so your facilities and safety. It has requirements related to personnel management, equipment management, and purchasing and inventory. It also focuses on controlling your processes by implementing a good organization, an organizational structure, by managing your processes correctly, by managing the information produced by these processes correctly, and by making sure that all your documents and records are traceable. And it pushes you to continuously improve your system. Customer focus, focusing on your individual customers and customer needs and requirements, make sure that you meet them. By implementing assessments, so laboratory audits, for example, quality indicator monitoring, by learning from your mistakes, so detecting non-conformities and properly handling them and correcting your mistakes made, and by continuously improving your system. And the requirements for your quality management system are captured in ISO standard. Now, I explained this for the laboratory situation, but this is no different for other organizations. The requirements for quality management systems are captured in those ISO standards. Now, when a laboratory complies fully with these ISO standards, the 15189 or 17025, this will result in accreditation, which is an international recognition of quality and competence. And this brings me to the third part of this presentation, the ISO 15189-2022 standard and the key differences compared with the ISO 15189-2012 standard. And I would like to touch upon 4 key characteristics which I think are relevant, especially for the NOGUCHI Institute. First, I would like to talk about the new harmonized structure of this standard, the role of management now being enforced by the ISO 15189 standard, the standard being less prescriptive compared to its previous version, and by that more flexible, and now you have to take a risk-based approach to quality management. First, let's look at this new structure of the ISO 15189 standard. The new structure, the ISO 15189 standard, is completely restructured in order to harmonize it with other standards. So now the ISO 15189 standard has the same structure as the 17025 standard for test and calibration laboratories. And both standards are still based on the ISO 9001 standard, and the outlines are similar. So that means when we put the structure of the previous version next to the structure of the 2022 version, you see that the management requirements formerly captured in Chapter 4 are now divided over 3 different chapters. 4, the general requirements, 5, structural and governance requirements, and 8, the management system requirements. The technical requirements are now divided over Chapter 6, resource requirements, and Chapter 7, process requirements. So that requires some getting used to for the persons working in the medical laboratories. The role of the laboratory management is also much more enforced. So the laboratory manager and the laboratory director really must be the initiator, driver, coordinator, and ultimate responsible for quality management system implementation, maintenance, and improvement. This is again no different from other organizations. But previously, this was implied by the standard, but it was not really strictly enforced. Now there is really a requirement that says you have to show evidence, be able to show evidence as a laboratory manager of your active role in implementing and maintaining and improving the quality management system of your laboratory. So these are the requirements to the laboratory director in the ISO 15189 standard. And here we have the requirement that says the laboratory management shall provide evidence of commitment to the development and implementation of the management system and to continuously improve its effectiveness. Here it is explicitly implied, but there are many requirements in the ISO 15189 standard that refer to the laboratory manager having to take his or her responsibility. Now the laboratory management, of course, has to do this, but he or she also needs to be properly informed in order to be able to justify which actions to take, to estimate the time required to take the actions, to estimate how much budget and other resources, what type of other resources are needed. Now, who should provide this information to the laboratory management? And that is, of course, the laboratory's personnel. And by personnel, I mean really everyone, not only the laboratory technologists, but also the persons responsible for facility and equipment maintenance, for cleaning, for ordering and management of supplies, for administration, and so on. So, as I explained earlier when I presented the different dimensions of the TQM, the Total Quality Management Model, in quality management, everyone has a role to play. The ISO 15189 2022 standard has also become much less prescriptive. So, the requirements of this standard are much less prescriptive. It doesn't tell you which procedures you have to document in a standard operating procedure. This is now up to you to decide. And this allows you, as a laboratory, to take much more pragmatic or to design much more pragmatic solutions that, if you do this correctly, might also be much more efficient. However, this also puts more responsibility with the laboratory to design proper ways to control and assure the quality. Now, examples of this is the quality, and this was a big shock for many laboratories. The quality officer is no longer referred as such. Now the standard says the laboratory needs to have personnel who have the authority and resources needed to implement, maintain, and improve the management system. So this can be one or more persons. And whether you call this a quality management unit, a quality officer, a quality manager, or give it another name, that doesn't matter for the ISO standard anymore. You have to have people responsible for implementing, maintaining, and improving the management system. And it can be one or more people. And I also think this is a good thing, because formerly you saw that in many laboratories, quality management was deferred to the quality officer. So the responsibility of implementing and maintaining a quality management system was the task of the quality officer. And everybody else continued doing his or her normal work, didn't contribute to this. And that was a big blockage for many laboratories to successfully implement the QMS. So this has changed, this has been addressed now. The quality manual is also no longer required or referred as such. You still need to have policies and processes documented, but whether you put them in a document, in a manual that you call a quality manual, or whether you can keep them, whether you keep them separated, that's up to you. And when it comes to documentation, the standard offers much more flexibility and is less prescriptive as well. So the laboratory can now decide itself what you are going to document and also in which formats. You still have to document your examination processes and procedures into standard operating procedures, but for other processes, support processes, for example, ordering supplies or document control, you can decide if you are going to document them and also in which format. So you could decide to make it a simple bench aid or document a procedure in a process flowchart, or still use a standard operating procedure. Lastly, the risk-based approach to quality management that you now have to implement in your laboratory. Now, this often sounds scarier than it is for many people. So risk management consists of risk assessment. So you're going to look at the processes in your laboratory and you're going to try to identify risks. You're going to ask yourself the question, what can go wrong in this process? And the answers to this question are the risks, something that can go wrong. Now you can imagine that you will identify quite some risks, but not all the risks are equally high. Some are higher than others. So the next thing you have to do is to prioritize them, and you do that by evaluating those risks. See how high are those risks. And then of course, you need to implement risk control measures if there are unacceptably high risks in your laboratory. So you start by addressing the highest risks, obviously. You will identify and implement risk control measures to bring that risk down to an acceptable level. And of course, you need to check the effectiveness of your risk control measures. Have our risk control measures effectively reduced the risk, and are we now dealing with a residual risk that we find acceptable in our laboratory? And if not, we have to take additional actions if needed. Now, how can you check effectiveness? Again, the QMS, your quality management system, provides you with a couple of nice tools to do this. Examples are conducting risk-based internal audits, so internal audits focusing on the risks that you have identified and the risk control measures that you have undertaken. You can also decide to implement quality indicators to monitor, and that will give you information about the effectiveness of your risk control measures. You can also get information about the effectiveness from feedback from your personnel and from your customers, which you can collect both passively and actively, for example, through conducting a survey. You get this information from non-conformity forms, and depending on the risk control measures, you may also be able to get information from competency assessments, which you all review in your management review. Again, here you see the plan, do, check, act cycle. You plan, you do the work by implementing your risk control measures, and you check the effectiveness, and if necessary, you take additional actions if needed. So in summary, the benefits and the drawbacks of the new ISO 15189 standard, I think, is that the standard really now pushes you, the laboratory, to use your quality management system to improve your organization rather than to have it as a checkbox exercise. This was often the case in many laboratories that we worked with, where they really used the checkbox exercise, the checklist even, to monitor the implementation of the QMS, but didn't think, how can we also use it to really make sure that we improve our system, that we do it as efficiently as possible, and really control and ensure the quality in a pragmatic, watertight way. The standard also allows for design of more tailor-made and more efficient solutions, a more efficient approach to controlling and ensuring the quality of your laboratory. But this also makes it more challenging to implement the standard by laboratories who do not yet have the experience yet to decide what works best for them. And this brings me to the fourth part of this presentation, because this is where collaboration comes in and involvement. So let's discuss the importance of collaboration and involvement in quality management. Why is this so important? Well, because collaboration and involvement fosters support. And one of the studies I conducted for my PhD research was studying different laboratories that implemented the QMS and became accredited, and looking at what were facilitating factors and what were the challenges and how were they overcome. And what I noticed is that the laboratories that were most successful in implementing their QMS, also in terms of the speed with which they did it, were laboratories in which the management was actively committed, so really contributing and taking an active role in implementing their QMS, and laboratories in which there was good collaboration among the team, so the different employees of the laboratory, so there was really a quality culture, if you will, and also with other departments and institutes. So I think for Noguchi, we should talk about three different forms of collaboration. The collaboration within the laboratories, all implementing their QMS, their quality management system, collaboration between those laboratories, and collaboration between the laboratory department and other departments and even other institutes. So let's first focus on collaboration within the laboratory. So why is this important? Well, because communication and collaboration are key for efficient QMS implementation and maintenance. It facilitates the design of processes, procedures, and approaches that are optimally tailored to the laboratory and are useful for all laboratory personnel. And also because it facilitates quick identification and solving of problems, among many other reasons. So how can we facilitate good collaboration within the laboratory? Well, making sure, again, that everyone is involved. Organize meetings where everyone is invited to discuss problems. And for this, it is, of course, a prerequisite that indicating a problem is no problem, pun intended. It is even encouraged. So there are no punitive measures, there's no punitive culture in the laboratory. Everyone needs to be able to indicate, I see a problem in this or that process without any fear. You could also think about forming task forces. A nice example is already given by the ISO standard, which now moved from one individual quality manager to encouraging laboratories to establish a quality team or a quality unit. And also, for example, risk management is something which needs to be done in teams with a cross-section of the organization, not only the laboratory management and the people responsible for quality, but also the laboratory technologists and all other departments involved in specific processes. Only then you know exactly what is going on and where the risks in your laboratory are. So you can create different task forces to implement specific elements of the QMS or to resolve any issues. Everyone, again, has a role to play in QMS implementation and maintenance. Now, if we look at collaboration between laboratories, why is this important, especially for an institute such as Noguchi? Well, because it allows, of course, for sharing of experiences and solutions of challenges. You're all going through the same exercise, implementing a quality management system, and by reporting about this and discussing which challenges you are facing, it might be that other laboratories are able to help you because they already overcame specific challenges and have solutions that might also work for you. So it prevents that every laboratory reinvents the wheel. It increases the efficiency.
It can also allow for the possibility to share resources. This is something that we have seen in many of our projects in the past where multiple laboratories were implementing a QMS. Sometimes one laboratory has a lack of a specific supply, while another laboratory has an overstock. And in these cases, just by making sure that these laboratories were in touch with each other, they could share and they could their resources and could help each other out. And it also introduces an element of friendly competitiveness. It makes sure that everyone remains on edge, and stay up to date with how the implementation of the QMS is going at the individual laboratories and try to achieve the same level. So how can you do this? Well, for example, through organizing seminars, where you present about your progress made, where the different laboratories present their progress, and also where they might indicate we face a challenge with this and may ask for help of other laboratories. Again, you could form committees or task forces, and I like the name that Japan puts to this quality circles, establishment of quality circles, where representatives of different laboratories are joining and focusing on implementing specific QMS elements that may be cross-cutting or resolving a particular issue. And now the last form of collaboration, the collaboration between the laboratory department and other departments in Noguchi or even other institutes. Why is this important? Well, for two reasons. One, it supports laboratories and also the other departments with implementing and maintaining their quality management system. And on a higher level, it also facilitates the better use of services. It facilitates better services and data and better use of those services and data based on research design and need. So how does it work? Well, first, let's focus on the QMS implementation elements. So collaboration between the laboratory departments, the different laboratories and the other departments supports laboratories and the other departments with implementing and maintaining a QMS. So one of the big findings of our work, what we see and what we experience is that to function adequately and successfully and implementing and maintain a quality management system, a laboratory relies on quite a lot of external factors over which it doesn't really have control. For example, for equipment maintenance, it needs specialized biomedical engineering capacity in the institute or in the country. For adequate availability of quality supplies, it relies on the procurement department. And for availability of competent personnel in sufficient numbers, high quality pre-service and in-service training curricula are needed. So to establish this, high-level involvement of top management at institutional and national levels are required. But when we look at this, collaboration between the laboratory and the other departments also facilitates better use of services and data based on research design and needs. As well as it comes to QMS implementation and also making use of each other's services, it is important to realize that you are each other's customers, you are each other's clients. And you can help as a department to improve the services of other departments. So departments can help the laboratory to improve its services. For example, other departments, the research units, can help data that are maximally useful for your research project. For that, you also have to deliver clear specifications for the resources needed that the laboratory then can use and can ensure in order to improve its services to you as a research unit. And this applies to laboratory, but it also applies again to other departments. If we talk about the facility maintenance units, the laboratories can help the facility maintenance department in improving the quality of their services by clearly communicating the requirements and the needs to facility maintenance to this department, so that the department can take these into account and design the facility maintenance procedures to optimally suit the need of the laboratories. And by doing this, by communicating and by collaborating as departments, you can work together in improving the overall quality of the institute better research. So what are ways in which you can do this? Well, again, for example, to organize seminars, to report and share experiences. Well, the Quality Week, I think, is a wonderful form of interdepartmental collaboration, wonderful example of this. You can also think about sharing documents and document templates, creating a shared drive that all the departments can access to see how did you approach this specific management procedure, how do you do this? And this might especially be useful for the more administrative and management elements of a QMS that are similar for all different departments in the Institute. You can also, again, decide to form quality circles, to form interdepartmental committees that work on specific quality management system elements that are the same for all the different departments. And in a more legal sense, you could think about establishment of service agreements or material transfer agreements, for example, depending on what is needed. So these are just a couple of examples to do this, to help each other to implement the quality management system, and by that to improve each other's services, and by doing that improve the overall quality of the overall final product of the Institute, the research. And this brings me to the conclusion of this presentation. I hope it is clear from this presentation that collaboration and involvement, not only within the laboratory, but also between laboratories and even at interdepartmental level, is one of the most critical success factors when it comes to quality management system implementation. And really everyone should be involved at the individual laboratory level when it comes to implementing a QMS through the new ISO 15189 standard, for example, or the other standards. At the level of different laboratories, collaborating to share experiences and lessons learned in implementing their quality management systems, but also increasing organizational efficiency and sharing of resources. And at interdepartmental level by supporting the laboratories to produce high quality data that can be used to reinforce high quality research at institutional level. And even laboratories supporting other departments with implementing quality management systems through sharing of experiences and resources again. So with this address, I've aimed to give everyone a better understanding of where the quality principles we're dealing with today are coming from, to give more insight in the implications of the new ISO 15189 standards and the key requirements to successfully build a quality system as an institute to ensure high quality research through collaboration and involvement, which brings us back to the theme of this year's Quality Week. Think research, think quality, think involvement. You are really building a quality system together. I would like to thank you very much, and I wish you all a wonderful Quality Week with many interesting and fruitful discussions. Back to the chair.
Oh, we can do better than that. Thank you very much, Ted, for that wonderful presentation. I still remember our time with you. So when was that? I've forgotten. What year was that? About 5 years ago?
Yeah. Something like that, yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Please, we'll hold you on a little bit so that after a few things, we'll enter the panel discussion session. So kindly hold on for us. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay. So back to the room. We are going to sing so that those who are sleeping will wake up for the panel discussion. We are all involved. Dr. Sue, please come and give us the tune. It looks like my tune is too high. Please come and give us the tune so that we can sing from here whilst we set up for the panel discussion. Arise, NOGUCHI staff, for your institute. The QMS demands your devotion. Let us all unite to uphold it and get involved.
Great and strong.
We are all involved. We are all
involved.
We are all
Involved
in building a quality system. In building a QMS. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Just want to do a few acknowledgments as we set up for the discussions. We're going to go into a session to discuss what we've heard, bring our ideas on board. Yes. So let's get prepared. Okay, so we want to acknowledge once again our sponsors. JICA for the main project. SISMES. Some of our sponsors have not only given us money, they are also here to witness the opening ceremony. So we have SISMES represented by Mrs. Ruth Osei Safo. Please, Mrs. Safo, if you are here, just give us a wave. Okay, maybe she stepped out. We have SIC Live represented by Ifwa Atakwesin. Please give us a wave. Oh, let's acknowledge. They gave us money and they are also giving us their time. The money, they can get more. As for the time, it's non-renewable. So let's applaud them for coming to spend time with us. Oh, let's do that better. Then we have Michiu Corporation. We have Sumitomo giving us money for this week. And then we have PI, staff of the institute, not only PI, but staff, different categories of staff, investing money into this program. On my list, I go through again. If I miss you out, please alert me. But even if you don't alert me, you are acknowledged. What I can't see, what's not on my paper, God has seen and God will reward. So we have Professor Michael Ofori, Professor Irene Ayi, Professor Kojo Asamoah-Kusi, Professor Kojo Kuram. We have Dr. Sam Eje. We have Miss Eunice Obeng. We have Mr. Raymond Fachu. We have Dr. Chantal Agbamebiese, Dr. Ivy Asantiwa Asanti, Professor Kofi Odum, Professor Kofi Boni. All these people have given us money from their projects and elsewhere to support this week. Let's applaud them. And if you haven't given us money yet, the doors are still open. If you give us now, we'll save it for next year. Or you can put us on your budget for next year so that you can support the quality. I also want to acknowledge all of us. The Institute Director, Professor Dorothy Menu, she stepped out because she has other agents, equally urgent things to do, but she's represented here by Professor Michael Ofori, the acting head. The Institute Administrator, Mr. Theodore Ahunu, is here. The Institute Quality Manager, Bakope, Dr. Susan Edwa-Mankwa, is here. We have the Assistant Registrar, Ms. Efia Duma-Boachi, here. We have the rep of the CSIR Food Research, the Quality Manager. Let me get the name. Dr. Antonia Ando Odum here. We have from Ghana Standards Authority, Madam Charlotte Hebiji here. We have all heads of department. Please, heads of department, give us a wave. Without you, we'll be struggling. Oh, I want a wave from the heads of departments. We have the departmental quality managers and their deputies. Please give me a wave. Oh, you won't give me away. The safety officers and their deputies from the departments, the equipment officers, facility management unit, quality office, the central quality office, central safety office. They are all here. Senior members, senior staff, junior staff, students, interns, everyone present here. Thank you all for being here. Oh, clap for yourselves. We're going now into the panel discussion. We want to discuss the theme and also the presentation we just heard. So on the panel, I have very distinguished people, and we'll be glad to have them contribute, and we'll also join in to bring our contributions. Our theme is Think Research, Think Quality, Think Involvement, building a quality system together. For our panel, I have Mr. Joshua I from the Facility Management Unit. He's also the Quality Manager. Oh, let's clap for him. Okay, sorry about that. Then we have my good friend, Professor Mrs. Anita Gansa. So Professor Gansa is stepping in the shoes of the director, representing the top management of the institute. Mr. Ayi is representing staff general. And we have, again, Dr. Tied Datima joining us virtually as part of the panel. So thank you all for being here. Give me a minute. Let me check. Okay. Thank you all once again. We want to just go on with these discussions. We first want to take a few 1-minute thoughts from our in-house panelists on what they've heard and what their thoughts are before we go into the real question. Yes, just introductory talks. Anything on your mind in this meeting before we get to the questions we have. So we start from Josh.
Okay, so thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity also to have. Okay, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to have this wonderful discussion as much as quality management system is concerned. I appreciate the fact of elaborating much on our systems, because what becomes the measure of everything we do is depending on the system that we have, which is to say that if you don't have any system, you can't measure whatever that you do or in our various activities. I appreciate the fact that as much as our main focus, or the main focus of Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, is mainly on improvement of our research activities, we can't do that without management or without supportive staffs. When we get into that, I appreciate Dr. Tied's presentation, where ISO 9001 was really specified. So ISO 9001 specified the requirement for quality management system. So with that, there is going to be a comply to that system to get everything that we are expecting to be achieved. We know Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research main mission is to improve quality activities. But when we get to the effort of supportive staffs, it is being appreciated very much by complying to these requirements I've spoken about. When we outline the framework or the process of these requirements, we can get out of that establishment, we can get implementation, we can get maintain, and also improvement. When we establish the system within our various departments or units, especially when it comes to top management and supportive staffs, when we get all these processes established, after that, we have to get implementation of such. And after the implementation is done, we need to maintain the process, because we are living in a system that people try to establish a system and also get things involved to get a particular operational activity working. But the most important is to maintain those processes. Then after that, also, we have to have improvement. Whatever you do much, or whatever you spend much time, or you continue doing, it will get to a time that you improve in that. And that comes out with excellence. Think research, think quality, think involvement. Let's build quality management system together. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Institute's administrator, the quality manager, heads of departments, JICA Ghana office, our sponsors, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Good morning. It is an honor to represent the director of the Institute, Professor Dorothy Abuamenu, on this very important panel for the discussion of quality management at the Institute. I appreciate the opportunity and applaud the organizers, the Quality Office of the Institute, for putting this together. I'm also grateful to JICA for their partnership and support in this process, and also we appreciate the sponsors of this program. I've been around and witnessed the evolution of QMS in research settings, both globally and in the Institute. The formal QMS process started at the Parasitology Department in 2014 as a specific collaborative project requirement for funding support. At the time, it looked bizarre, as it seemed to be set up for diagnostic labs and industries such as the pharmaceutical industry. For some of us who were doing well as researchers and management was okay, and diagnostics, everything we thought was set. But a couple of years later, the real importance of QMS began to show. Its need in our research work started gaining momentum in our activities, such as record taking and how we report errors in our processes. And there was no turning back. Let me use equipment management as an example. It simply makes better management sense to run an equipment management program. For us research fellows, how sure are we that the equipment we are purchasing are fit for purpose? It's only through a QMS process of verification, validation, and calibration that we can be sure, not to talk of preventive maintenance and other routine maintenance activities. Indeed, QMS cuts costs and boosts confidence and reliability in the results we churn out from our equipment. QMS for me is simply a must-do. And for the weight our research carries in building scientific knowledge, disease surveillance, and policy, we cannot avoid proper management of our processes. A good example is during the COVID-19 pandemic, the whole country and even the world depended on screening results from NOGUCHI and other research and diagnostic labs. There are many good reasons why we must work to avoid or at least minimize errors in our processes. This can only be achieved through quality management systems. It is great to have a forum like this to discuss QMS, raise awareness on its importance, and in some ways measure how far we have come. But the real work lies in doing. This is the only way. The theme, think research, think quality, think involvement, building a quality system together, is spot on, as the addition of involvement is prime to how far we have come. Senior members should understand that the reliability and reproducibility of our research output will be accepted globally if we have effective quality processes in place. We should therefore encourage and serve as mentors for our teams and all junior colleagues to abide and be part of implementation of QMS processes as we ourselves understand and cooperate with the QMS team. Just like some of us saw it far away and have now been integrated, I implore all of us to accept what we are now, a QMS implementing organization, and get involved in the process to move the Institute to an internationally accredited biomedical research institute in the very near future. The time to think research, think quality, and think involvement is now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So at this time, we're going to go around and ask specific questions to our panelists. I want to start with Dr. We want to go on now and have specific questions addressed by our panelists. So, Tiet, please, you gave us a brief about the work you've done so far in different institutions. But we also know that as of now, there is no standard that is specific for research institutions. The 15189 is more for clinical labs, and there are others for calibration labs. So we want you to share with us your work with other research institutions. What are your experiences? Specifically, because we are a research institution, what would you said a number of things, even on your concluding slide, but can you just go into it a bit for us? The partnerships, the collaborations, and especially regarding the standard. how do we use it as a research institution, since we don't have one specifically for us? Thank you.
Sure, thank you for the question. Yeah, it's we have had many discussions in the past about this indeed with the institutions that perform research projects. And yeah, I've been saying before, we actually should have a sort of a hybrid between the ISO 15189 and the 17025 standard when it comes to research. Now, there is a standard that is a bit different, that focuses on institutions that perform research in terms of contributing to clinical trials, the good clinical laboratory practices, GCLP. But yeah, when it comes to ISO standards, you are faced with ISO 17025 and 15189. And what you actually should do is think beyond the text of the requirements. So look, what does this mean? What are the QMS principles that we need to implement in our laboratory? What do we want to achieve? How do we ensure that we control and assure the quality of our outputs, our research projects? Now, when it comes to planning your work, the ISO 17025 provides better handouts, I think, for research labs. Because the ISO 15189 really requests you to, or really requires you to standardize your examination processes, for example. And that is, of course, more difficult for some laboratories that are still, developing their examination procedures. The ISO 17025 in this case asks you to not develop those standard operating procedures, but to make work plans, to really plan the examinations that you perform. So basically what I could advise you to do as a research institute is to look carefully at the requirements of the different standards and take those that are most workable for you. And as you say, if you have the possibility, reach out to other institutes worldwide in your network that have gone through this exercise. Again, collaboration doesn't limit itself to within the institute. It also relates to collaborating with different institutes. And this can be as simple as just, scheduling a call for an hour to discuss. Ask them, can we discuss a couple of the challenges that we are facing, and maybe pick your brains on how you resolve those issues in your institutes. So this is what I can say about implementing the ISO standards in research institutes.
Thank you very much. So we move back to Prof. Gansa. Professor Mrs. How has the NOGUCHI quality system changed over the past 3 years? You mentioned it in your introductory statement. So I think we'll focus on what you predict to happen in the next 3 years. Thank you. Mention a brief about the past, so we'll leave that one and then we'll go on to the next 3 years. How do you see NOGUCHI QMS evolving?
Thank you very much, Dr. Boni. As we can see, the culture of quality management is permeating our environment. In the next 3 years, I believe that we will see more of this permeation, and we actually live in quality. Everybody will come on board and we would understand the whole process, and it will become our nature more than anything. And hopefully we would have attained the ISO certifications. And having this will give us as researchers a better bargaining chip for applying for grants. We'll have confidence that we can manage bigger grants, and this will be internationally recognized. And again, I think NOGUCHI is going to drive this whole quality management system across the university and the nation. And our research portfolio financially will grow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's exciting. How many people can see what she's seeing? Can you all see that? You're going to drive QMS in the whole of UG and the whole nation. Wow. Oh, clap for that if you believe in this big dream. It's a big dream, but it's achievable. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Ayi. What do you think we can do differently or better to move the QMS forward from where we are now? If we have to get to where Prof. Gansa can see, I think there are certain things we need to do. You mentioned a few. You mentioned improvements, you need implementation and all that. What else? A few other thoughts would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bonnie, Dr. Mrs. Bonnie. I want to really focus on commitment, especially when you come to leadership commitment. Because commitment from top management take effect even to the down level of people working in the institute. So right from top management to junior staffs, the most important advantage that we need to have is the commitment that we have as a leader. I'm mentioning to junior staffs because you may be a leader to, excuse me to say, even a cleaner or the cleaners or a leader to the normal activities that we do in the institute. The most important is to be committed to the quality management system, especially when we come to top management, the heads of department. I know in NOGUCHI, our top management are doing very, very well, and they are really committed to the quality management system, the same as our HODs as well. But if they will continue to push more, I think it will help very much to bring QMS from thinking to establishment, because all recommendations come from top management. If top management or HODs are saying we are going, everybody will follow. So that is one thing that I want to talk about. Secondly, also involvement. As I mentioned, if we involve everybody in this system, I think it's going to help very much. This comes by communication, decision making. You know, when we have people in collaboration together to take decisions and also to get them involved in this system, nobody will take his or herself out of this system that we are trying to initiate or we are trying to develop in this institute. Excuse me to say, sometimes we have the intention that maybe one person or two people in a particular department are very good to do certain things or take certain initiatives. But I'm one of the people who believe that, for example, if someone cannot be better as internal auditor, the same person can do other things else. When we involve all of them, they partake in what we are doing, I think we will bring QMS from thinking into establishment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, we are not clapping for accuracy. Thank you very much. We need leadership commitment. We need to involve everyone so that everyone is playing a particular role. And we can move QMS from just thinking to doing. Mr. Ayi, thank you very much. To my audience, I have a question for you. And I want two people to speak. So start getting ready before the question comes. My question is, what do you consider to be the biggest challenge in implementing QMS in NOGUCHI? As of now, what do you consider as the biggest challenge in your mind? What is the giant in the room that we have to attack and get it going? Please, I want to see the hands. Yes, please, I need one mic. Please, you give me your name and your department. Then you tell us what.
Sorry, unfortunately, I'm not a staff of NOGUCHI.
Oh, okay. Sorry, please, I'll give you the time to talk later. This one is for staff. NOGUCHI staff, what is the challenge? What are the challenges? If we don't have any challenge, I will not give you the floor to ask questions. I ask you, you don't answer. Yes, please.
Okay, I'm Jane Ansonwusu from Pastology.
Okay.
I think one of the giants in the room that we need to attack is complacency.
Okay. Complacency. Can you explain just in one sentence? We want to hear from where you are coming from. Yes, it's important that we understand you so that we don't misrepresent what you're saying.
Okay, so having to think that we've done quality over time. You know, one main thing about quality is improvement. But then having done it over time, sometimes we become a bit complacent and do not want to actually improve when we have to.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have another hand? Someone to give us another giant that we need to kill?
Thanks.
Yes.
So, I am very grateful to JICA, and I think everybody here is grateful to JICA for supporting us. The problem I'm envisaging is that once we have accreditation and JICA leaves, what happens? How are you going to sustain this success that I'm sure we are going to choke? So I think that is the problem I'm looking at. How we are going to get money to fund our, in fact, to sustain our accreditation and then even improve on it.
Okay. Thank you. But please, we want to know your name and your department.
I am Isaac Dakonchi from Bacteriology Department. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you think funding, if I got you right, how we are going to fund the sustainability plan? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So now I'm opening the floor for 2 questions from the audience. Anything you want to ask at this stage before we continue? No questions? Okay, that's good. I like to save time, so if there are no questions, yeah, you can move on. Kindly bring the mic to. Please, you introduce yourself to us and you make the point you were going to make first, please. Thank you.
I think,
just like you have some nice idea.
Sorry, I just wanted to use experience to talk about it, but that is what the woman behind me, I don't know what I talk about, but I wanted to, is it Jed or something?
Jed.
Okay, so he made
Ignore
mention of
the
the fact, your question you asked about the fact that is there any standard specifically for the research institution? He made mention of 17025 for the laboratories, and then that of 15189, right, 2022. You for your examination purposes. So my boggling, or what was bothering my mind, was that if you had to be accredited to these standards, what are you going to be accredited to? Is it the 17025 in the case of research laboratory, and then that of examination processes for 15189? Is it going to be a combination of the two that you are going to be accredited to? Because I know that if you are operating or working with a specific standard and you need accreditation, you work at it and then get to the point of the accreditation. So if the two is working for the research institution like NOGUCHI, then do you need then the two accreditation, is it going to go together, or you can go for one and later add up the other? That was my bothering.
Okay, thank you. Kindly give us your name and
my name is Isaac Dati from Ghana Standards Authority.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ghana Standards Authority. So I'm sure Theod will have a word for us regarding the question Justice came in. Theod, please go ahead.
Yeah, well, thank you very much again for the question. It's indeed it's a good question. one of my questions actually about Noguchi in preparation of the Quality Week was why are some laboratories going for 15189 accreditations and why are other laboratories going for 17025 accreditation? And the explanation that I received was actually it was a valid reason. So the ISO 15189 standard is meant for medical laboratories, for routine diagnostic laboratories, and this standard is rather patient-centered, while the 17025 is for test and calibration laboratories. And this is in that sense less patient-centered. It's more meant for laboratories that, for example, calibrate equipment, but can also, well, I heard examples, a very interesting laboratory here at the airport that calibrates the tire pressure of airplanes. So you're talking about all different types of laboratories that can implement this 17025 standard, but they don't deal with patients. Now, in the case of Noguchi, you're a bit in both fields. So you're conducting research projects for which the 17025 standard is more useful and more practical. It offers more, it's better tailored to that type of laboratory, to a research laboratory. But those laboratories, many of them also work with patients in conducting the research projects. And that is the explanation why you choose for 15189, to make sure you have also that patient-centered approach and that you treat the patients as they should be treated. Now, your question is about which standards do we implement and should we become accredited to both standards? And I don't think that that is necessary. What you should do is work with one of the two standards and the approach that you've chosen. So I understood that the animal testing laboratory works on the ISO 17025 standard, if I remember correctly, while other laboratories that have more involvement with patients work with 15189. That is the proper approach to do it. If you remember from my presentation, you may remember that both standards, 15189 and 17025, are based on the same ISO 9001 standard. The same QMS principles are incorporated in both standards. So in answering your question, I would say, well, choose one of the two standards and make sure you get accredited to one of those two standards. Because if you implement the 15189, you will comply with most requirements of 17025 as well, and vice versa. So that is the answer to this question. Take one standard, implement it. By doing so, you will implement all your quality management principles correctly. It might only require some creative thinking in implementing some of the requirements, and that will be the case if you're implementing the 15189 and also the 17025.
Thank you very much. So we can just get accredited to one, but it will cover others, and we can pick and choose from the other one what applies to us. I think one of the things Tiet said was that we're not just any longer just ticking boxes, but we want to actually be developing a system that we can sustain. So the focus, not that we shouldn't get accredited, but the focus should be improving our systems, using the best, what is applicable from both standards, instead of concentrating too much on which boxes to take to get accredited. Thank you very much, Tiet. So we continue back to, there's a question? No, over here. Okay. Please, give me a microphone. Yes.
I'm sure by the time I'm done talking, Dr. Bonnie, right, will give me an invoice for using your platform. But I feel like standing. Honestly, I'm so excited. The few moments I've been here, listening to your choice of words when it comes to talking about the quality in terms of certification and accreditation, I feel like I should give you, GSA should give you the certification tomorrow. Because already, trust me, I am a QMS auditor. I am an ISO 9001, 22,000 FSSC auditor. And believe me, you are on the right track. You are on the right track. So, like Dr. Datman said, the ISO 9001 is the basics of the standards. You understand me? And ISO, the International Organization for Standardization, over time has made implementation of the ISO standards very simple by coming out with the high-level structure, the 10-clause structure. When you open the floor for questions to be asked, I was very happy when this lady mentioned complacency. I have audited the ISO 9001 standard since 2015. And one thing that is very common in most organizations, and let me say here, especially the industries or the institutions that have implemented the standard over time, their problem a lot of time is complacency. Is what brings about complacency? Doing the same thing over and over again. You understand me? So you are used to doing things in some way, familiarity sets in. So you go to companies or institutions that have implemented the standard for a very long time, and you are forced to raise non-conformities that are avoidable. So how do we avoid this? You need somebody to come and, you can't be the player and the referee, or you can't be the coach or the referee at the same time. That is why you need certification. So whilst we are thinking research, we are thinking quality, we are thinking involvement, let's think certification and come to GSE.
GSA is here to collect invoice. I'm going to be rich at the end of the program. Thank you, madam, for giving me the go-ahead to give you the invoice. Mr. Agbo, you are in the house. If you are still here, please get our invoice ready for GSA. Okay. All right, so we continue. We go back to Prof. Ganser and Institute Top Management for the next question. So the focus of the Institute is research. We want to know, one of the reasons why we brought this think research, think quality is that some time ago we used to think that quality was like an additional thing that we have to do. We haven't quite gotten out of that mode, so we want you to help us. How do we balance the two? Doing the quality thing and also doing our research and getting our grants and our publications. How should we proceed?
Thank you very much. I think the first thing we have to realize is that we cannot separate quality management from research. In order to do very good research, we need the proper quality management systems in place. So we should see it as an integral part of attaining a very reproducible and reliable research output. I agree with you, Dr. Bonnie, that our core business is research. And I know that even most of our quality managers are employed as research fellows, and their core duty is to conduct research. And their involvement in the whole quality process is actually affecting their research output. What is the way forward? I think all of us must get involved. As senior management, I know that the administration or top management is doing a lot. Its involvement is very high. But when it comes to the research fellows, we are also doing our bit, but we must understand that we must get involved more. I think that if we charge some of our team members, every research team must get involved in the quality process, we will free the quality managers of a bit of their huge responsibility so that they can also conduct their research. The involvement of everybody. For instance, if apart from the assigned leaders for specific processes like, let's say, involvement in stores or procurement or equipment management, a research team assigns a member to be part of that process. That reduces the burden. Let's see it as a shared activity so that we will balance our activities as researchers and as quality people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So everyone getting involved, doing a bit of it, then we lessen the burden on the quality managers and the people running the quality offices. Let's get involved and share the activities. It makes it better. Thank you, Professor. To Ted, please. You have talked about what we need to do. Collaborate interdepartment, intra-department, within the institute and with others outside. But we know that QMS is not static. As the trends keep changing. What do you think we can do to keep abreast with the changing times? What should we do as an institution so that at least we are par with what is new every time, and then what we are developing is not like we finish developing it and it's like, oh, this one no longer holds. Like the situation with our quality manual. Those who know our history will know that we spent more than 5 years or 7 years developing a quality manual, and then the year we signed it up, the following day, a new standard came, and the quality manual was no longer a requirement. Personally, I feel like we wasted our time and resources. What do we do to keep abreast so that we are always apart with what is trending? Thank you.
Right, thank you. Yeah, so do not worry, you didn't develop your quality manual for nothing. It wasn't a waste of time. So what ISO 15189 now does is it still refers actually to the quality manual. In a note it says, well, you can make a quality manual, but you can also decide to put these policies that you have to develop in another type of document. You don't have to call this a quality manual any longer. But many of the policies that you included probably in your quality manual, they are still required by the standard. So do not worry too much. Those policies you still need to have, most of them, and well, if you can, I mean, it doesn't forbid you to have a quality manual. So if you prefer to still keep everything together in a quality manual, because now of course everyone is used to it, knows what it is, please do so. When it comes to your question of making sure that the Institute remains up to date with the latest trends in quality management and the latest developments, well, there are of course different ways in which you can do this, and that applies to any institute implementing quality management. Making sure that all cadres of personnel receive the relevant training. When there is a new ISO standard, making sure that those people that are, have a responsibility in implementing and making sure that the institute complies with the standard knows about it, and especially the changes compared with the previous version of the standard. So what you could do is, follow training courses, make sure that the right personnel receive training on this, and also don't forget to cascade the knowledge throughout the institute. Make sure that these persons who received training externally at least give a presentation in a quality update, if you will, so that they can report about what they have learned to all their colleagues and to all the different levels of personnel across the institute for whom this is important to know. And it also, again, by doing so, is a way of keep making sure that everyone stays engaged, making sure that everyone is involved in receiving the latest updates about new developments in quality management systems and with ISO 15189 standards, makes them feel involved, makes sure that that these persons are and remain committed to quality. There are, of course, other ways as well, participation in conferences, follow online courses. Make sure you stay up to date with the literature, because when an ISO standard is published, with a delay comes a flood of papers of laboratories sharing their experiences in implementing new ISO standards, which might be valuable for you as well. So these are ways in which you can achieve this.
Okay. Thank you very much. Just a point about the quality manual. Yes, we have converted into quality binder now. So we have the individual policies in there, no longer a huge book, but you can pick a policy and work on it. So yes, we've done something about it, but it hurts a bit to realize that just when we got it done, things have changed. Thank you very much. We need to follow the training courses. We need to give the appropriate people the appropriate trainings, and when they are back, they should disseminate this information so that everyone knows what is happening, everyone gets involved, and we need to stay up to date with the current literature. It looks like that is one thing we are not really doing well. I don't know about other people, but the quality office even posts publications on the boards. How many of us here even look at the abstracts? How many of us read it? So that's one of the things we need to do if we want to get to where Prof. Gansa can see. We all need to get involved and educate ourselves. Thank you very much. My next question goes to Mr. Ayi. So we want you to share your experience. You've been doing this for a while. Is there a scenario you remember that something happened and maybe you acted in a certain way, certain things were done, and now you look back and say, we shouldn't have done it this way. Should have done it the other way. Is there any particular scenario that comes to mind that you want to share with us? Or maybe it's not you in person, but somebody did something within the institute. You're like, oh, okay, if we knew better, we'd have done it. What was it? And what do you think we should have done differently? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Doug. On this note, I want to talk about motivation. Motivation. Because one of the things that I encourage people to do more is when they are motivated. The more you motivate them, the more they do more. And let me take, for instance, our motivation process in NOGUCHI as much as quality management system is concerned. I know annually there is a sort of motivation that goes, especially, or for example, during our quality week, our time for quiz sections for our contestants in the various departments. I think the winner goes with the prize. It's a sort of motivation. But I will be very grateful if we can extend that to other members and other or the various departments. For example, maybe NOGUCHI will not be ready or is not having the funds to motivate everybody because everybody is playing a role one way or the other. But I will be grateful if maybe at the end of every year or during quality week, we can have appreciation we can name it in a way that within the various departments, staff who comply to quality process or best staff who comply to quality processes, then we have some award for them. When it happens like that, it encourages them to comply to our quality management processes. Because sometimes me being a manager in my unit, it becomes a little challenge because you see people doing the same thing always, and sometimes it looks like it's a little challenge for them. But when they are motivated, everybody looks onto that at the end of the year, I'm fighting to have some prize, I'm fighting to win something, I'm fighting to be awarded one way or the other. I think with that, it will help the quality management system in the institute. That is what I think. When we get involved, it will be very grateful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Iba. I'm going to follow up. Thank you. The motivation is well noted. But what I really wanted to find out is there anything that we have done in the past, apart from motivation, that you look at and say, no, we could have done it differently? Anything? See the way we park our cars, see the way we drive it, what? Anything in the institute that you think is not compliant, but we've been doing it, it has become a part of us, our staff. We do it. That now, wearing the quality cap and all the things you have learned, you can pinpoint just one thing that we can begin to do differently as staff to improve our quality system. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much once again. To get back to this, I think I will go to the level of documentation. We could see that we have more documents when we check our SharePoint. We have more SOPs, but sometimes you see people behaving differently from whatever has been documented there. And I think that is the aspect that we need to show more focus upon, because if auditors come, they are going to audit specifically based on what you have in place or what you have documented. So if our documentation have been put in place, we have more SOPs, we have more procedures, and we are acting differently, I think it becomes a little challenge. That is one of the things that I've seen, and I think if it's being corrected, it will help our quality management system. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's do what we have written that we will do. Because we have written that this is what we are going to do. If we do it, if we are doing something contrary to what we've written, then we are kicking against our own QMS that we are establishing. So all of us getting involved, let's do what we have written that we'll do. Otherwise, let's write what we actually do and comply by it. Because it is a standard operating procedure and it must be followed, but it can also be reviewed and revised. Thank you. Please, I want Prof. Ofori to address Dr. Autry's question or concern that the challenge that he sees is how are you going to be able to sustain the QMS financially when the JICA support is over? How are we going to proceed? Prof. Ofori, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think Isaac asked a very good question. We just came from the top management retreats. As if Isaac was known about what we discussed, it came up strongly, and we discussed about how we are going to sustain this after JICA's funding. But of course, the institute is more or less embracing this as part of our activities as we do here. So it's going to be our budget line for every year. So they have identified that the Central Quality Management Office must be more or less one of the wings that there is to make sure that they sustain it. So they're going to take care of the staff there as part of our, what we call our internally generated funds, IGF, to sustain those labs, as well as the safety lab as well. So it's going to continue after JICA's funding and ensure that it's part of the things that we do as an institute. It's also going to mandate the department to also ensure that they also embrace this, ensure that most of the projects takes part of this as one of the things that's going to ensure that we have quality research in the department. So every project in your budgeting and so on, you budget a line to sustain the quality activities in the department, and in so doing, together with the institute, we'll be able to maintain this after JICA's funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. So, no fears, no shaking. We have the resources, and top management is fully committed to sustaining it. And I know that other people are also committed. In fact, looking at the list of internal sponsors, it gives me a lot of hope that all of us subsequently will put QMS as a line in our budget somewhere for our grants so that we can get money to sustain our QMS. We are all involved. Thank you very much. I'm coming back to you, my audience, to find out once more. Do you have any questions for us? Any questions for the panel at this stage? 2 questions. Okay, yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Bonnie. I'm William Inyan, Parasitology Department. I think the theme that has been carved for this year's QMS is very, very, very important, and I thank the team that sat down to do this. Think research, think quality, think involvement, building it together. That's good. And so my concern and question is on how we form niches or maybe enclaves in doing our research work. When you take to 4 departments, even fellows or maybe PIs, they do their research, they obtain their materials, equipments, and when we talk of documentation and communication, sometimes finish, you have something left somebody could have used for other works, and it's still there. Then we extend it to the departments, and that becomes bigger, where a department has a project finished, another department may have needs of some of those materials, equipment is kept there. What are we doing to ensure that we don't have waste in our system?
Thank you. Question noted. Top management will answer. Sorry. So top management prepared to answer. Top management is Prof. Ofori. He's representing Director right now. So.
All right, thank you very much. I think you said it right. Waste is one of the things that, as part of the quality, we should look at it. If you go to most of the lab, you see some expired things sitting and so on, and we have to remove all these things. So at the end, we wasted them. So we're going to have an opportunity, and it starts from the individual. And that, as he said, normally change is something which is more or less very difficult for many people to do. But as we embrace this and become part of our way of life, we know that for us to be able to achieve our aim and to get accreditation and so on, we need to also ensure that the things that we do it in an appropriate way. So we are going to pass this on. We are going to discuss as management, and then also with projects PIs, to see how we can make use of the things that we get maximally, so that at the end, we don't waste anything. So it's a very good thing that you have raised, and I think we'll discuss it. We have to start from the department level, and then we'll see how best we can maximize the things that we do with respect to the grants that we obtain and so on. In terms of the, let's say, region supplies and so on, as part of the quality, is something that we are thinking together as a management to see whether the management can actually secure some of these things, and then we'll give it to projects and pay in charge project, because it's more or less a very big way of ensuring that we actually go around the cumbersome the procurement processes and so on. So if you do that, then probably we can maximize the use of most of these things, because at the end, it's the benefit to the institute.
Thank you very much. Prof. Gansa has an addition.
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Bonnie. Yes, Prof. Bonnie soon. So I think to add to what Professor Ofori has just said, Parasitology Department has taken that initiative. We have a pool store where general reagents and consumables are kept. And we've decided that before any research fellow or PI initiates a project and you want to acquire staff, check the stores, ask colleagues within the department, and I think it is working. Personally, I got 2,000 cryotubes just last week from the stores, and I don't have to go and order to cause any delay. So even at the department level, we have started pulling our resources together to avoid the waste. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So way to go. Pastology has taken the lead again. They led us for the QMS. We are following. They are leading us with pool storage. Let's follow. Good things need to be copied. There's nothing wrong with copying good things from people. So let's copy and get it right. Thank you, Prof. Gansa. Any question? 2 more questions and we are done. One at the back. I see 2 hands at the back. Okay, 2 hands at the back, 1 here. I'll still count it as 2. So 2 plus 1 is 2. Please, let's take the one from the back.
Is it my turn? Okay, so my name is Kofi Boni. I'm with the virology department. So my question goes to Tiet. Tiet, having worked with you and also having you and Linda worked in so many organizations and institutions across the globe and seen to their progress with regards to quality management systems, how do you envisage the journey that Noguchi has started? What do you see as in the near future? Are we on the right track? And what is your professional stand if it comes to how you're going to assess what we have done so far, what we are doing? Thank you.
Okay, please, we'll take the next question. I don't know if there are other questions for Tiet. So let's take all the questions and then the panelists can answer. The next question from the back, please.
Okay, my name is Elisha with the Clinical Pathology Department. And my question is in line with the accreditation. So in the discussions, it came up that the institute can just pick one of the standards and then pursue for the accreditation. But my concern is that what we are doing here, for instance, the animal experimentation department is doing animal testing. Then also other laboratories also take environmental samples and then they are also doing testing. In the clinical pathology department, we do a lot of plant work. And then virology department also concentrate on diagnostic and then patient work. So my question is it appropriate to say that we should just pick one of the standards and then pursue it? Because fine, we want to build a culture, quality culture, but the award, the name that, oh, this department is what we do, our processes are accredited to ISO so and so, is a lot of weight and it's important. So, for instance, if I am in animal experimentation department, pursuing QMS to the highest level, my ultimate goal is to get accreditation. So if Noguchi is going to stick to one standard, then what happens to the other activities that may not fall in line with this standard what we stick to when we are all pursuing for accreditation?
Thank you, Elisha. I think your question is well taken. We will answer it. You're wondering how Noguchi can have just one standard to accredit to. It will be answered, please. Let's take from.
Thank you very much. I am Auditor again. So I'm very glad that somehow management had preempted my question and they have started taking steps to address it. That is very good and it's commendable. So I don't know, what I'm saying is a comment, but it could also be a suggestion. I don't know, maybe management has already done it, but I'm just going to say it anyway. I think that now that it's captured that like every project should have a budget line for QMS, let's make it uniform. Let's say 1% of your total budget, and then ORS should check before they authorize submission of every proposal, if that budget line is not there, they shouldn't authorize it. And this should be communicated to everybody in the institute so that we know from scratch that when I'm going to apply for this call, there's a budget line, 1% of the total budget is for QMS. And if it's not there, I shouldn't authorize it. And when the money comes, they should make sure it goes to what it's meant for. That's the suggestion I'm giving. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions. I'm going to answer two of the questions, then I'll leave the first one for Thied. The first one I will answer is from Elisha. Elisha, I think we know, I know you know, that we don't accredit institutes. Even departments don't go for accreditation. It is processes that are accredited. So every process, depending on what they do, will choose the standard that is applicable and apply for accreditation for that. So we are not saying that the whole institute will go and choose one standard. No. An institute cannot go for accreditation. So depending on the process and the department, so within the same department, if they are doing different things, they can as well apply for different standards. But we have identified two, and depending on developing the QMS system, what we are working for and improving, we'll choose which ones in these standards will work. So that's what we are saying. Sorry if you got confused along the way, or other people also got confused. For the accreditation, if we are going, it is processes we are taking, and depending on the process and the standard. Then Prof. Ochi, I call him Prof. So your idea is very, very good. But depending on the funder, it will be difficult because some of the funders will give you a budget template and you can only apply for some of the things. So at that stage of submitting grants, it may be difficult. But we can still have a policy where every grant that is won, they will find it somewhere and pay a certain amount. But if you say before it is submitted, we'll end up not submitting some of the grants. That's what I think, because the funder may not have a for QMS or something like that. But I know management has an answer for you, so they will also give you their answer. Thank you very much. Let's take the response from Thied, and then we can be ending this session. Thied, please. The first question that was addressed to you by Prof. Bonnie. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Prof. Kofi. It's good to see you again, although virtual. So your question, so how do I envisage the future for Noguchi when it comes to quality, and are you on the right track? Well, of course, without having seen all the ins and outs, it's difficult to give a complete verdict about that, but given the fact that you are having these discussions, the questions that I hear, that you organize this quality week in the first place is leading me to conclude that yes, you are definitely on the right track. And also, is quality the way to go? I think so, absolutely. What you see, what we notice, and what you probably have noticed as well, is that in many calls for specific research projects, the importance of being accredited, being compliant with certain standards is much coming up much more often. You see it more and more that in the requirements to the bidders, research projects, funders request you to have a quality management system in place. So that is of course the first reason to do this. But we have also, in my work, I've also seen the evidence of the fruits that you get from implementing quality management. Laboratories that became accredited, we have seen we work a lot with routine diagnostic laboratories, reference laboratories. We saw that, one laboratory, for example, had a 100-fold increase in testing months because, of course, being accredited increases the trust in your organization, in the competence of your organization. So people start requesting testing. And this is for routine diagnostic testing, but many of the laboratories that became accredited when we were assisting them also received much more research grants, because although they were accredited to ISO 15189 and in their scope they had the routine diagnostic tests, Still, the organization working on compliance with the ISO standards, implementing the quality management principles, will also, of course, have an effect on their quality of work in terms of the research that they do. So definitely you are on the right track, and I think it's really good that also as a research institute you go for implementation of these standards, for optimization of your processes. These standards ask you to continuously look for opportunities for improvement. Implementing a quality management system is a mindset. Continuously be aware of the quality that you produce and for opportunities for improvement. And regardless what type of work you are doing, it will be good for the output of your work. If you do research, it will have the same effects. So I hope that this answers your question.
Does that answer your question, please? Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I want you to just continue and give us your concluding thoughts so that we can bring the session to an end. Any one thing you want us to remember, if we don't remember all the other things you've said?
That is always a challenging question, I think. I think that the thing I want you to remember is that I'm really impressed by this whole event, that you organize this and that you sit together in one room with each other and asking you questions is how can we collaborate more? How can we make sure that the equipment we no longer need as a department can come to the benefit of other departments? So I think that you are definitely on the right track and have the right mindset to go for accreditation of the individual departments, for certification against 9001 for certain departments. And I think the most important lesson is in the theme of of this year's Quality Week. Think research, think quality, think involvement. Please keep in the back of your mind, how can we make sure that we communicate with each other, that we collaborate efficiently and pragmatically, and that we increase the quality of the institute as a whole, not of our individual departments alone, but how can we make sure that we increase the quality of the institute and that we assure the quality to our clients.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's acknowledge it. Okay, before I come to my in-house panelists to give us your concluding thoughts, Prof. Ofori, 1% research grants for QMS. What do you have to say to that? I promised him he will say something, so please say something.
All right, so the same way, we discussed this deeply, but normally, as I said, the start of everything is not as easy as we normally see it. But we are going to educate ourselves to see how best we can embrace this into our research. But we'll put that into perspectives in our thinking and also in the management of the institute. So as I said, the management is going to take this as part of the budget line. So if it's that the case, we'll have to find out how we are going to mobilize this to ensure that we sustain this over the years to come. And as we continue, always, as he also said, your research and quality is marked. When we started, there was no requirement to even add ethical review before we publish. But now if you don't add, you can't publish. So the same way, it will come to a point where they require to have quality or accreditation for the things that we are doing before we can publish it. So we are all thinking to it, and I'm sure a time will come, it might even go beyond the 1% that we are thinking about. So we'll take that into consideration.
Thank you very much. So now to my in-house panelists, your concluding thoughts. Anything you want us to remember? Josh, you want to start?
Okay, thank you very much. I think on this note, throughout all the discussions that has been done, one of the aspects that I want to really focus on is to try to do the gap analysis. Out of these presentations, we've known the necessary things that need to be done to improve our quality management system. So I think this quality week should be a reminder to bleach all the gaps when it comes to documentations, all the things that we are doing that we think there is a little gap or they are not going right. This is the time to bleach all the gaps for our quality system to go on effectively. And as we do so, it's going to help NOGUCHI Memorial Institute for Medical Research to go in for our accreditation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To conclude, I'll say that as senior members, we should serve as mentors for our team, our various teams, so that the young ones will get involved, use us or see us as examples for them to follow through with the quality management system. Yes, our focus is research, but we should remember that even our research outputs like publications can come under scrutiny if we do not have these proper quality systems in place. When we get to that point, we'll be found wanting. So even our core business, we should realize, can be questioned as a result of non-appliance to quality systems. So we should take this seriously, get more involved. And I think top management, we should also award senior members who get most involved. Annually, senior members must also be motivated to take part in this. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Let's clap for them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so we've been discussing the theme for our Quality Week celebration is think research, think quality, think involvement, building a quality system together. And we've had on our panel Dr. Tiet Datima from Datos, who joined us virtually, Mr. Joshua Ayi from the Facility Management Unit of the Institute, and Professor Anita Gansa from Parapsychology Department. We've been sharing so much information. Just want to give you some few words that I caught along the way. It's about implementation. So we should think it, but not only leave it there, actually implement it. We need commitment. We need everyone to get involved. Everyone has a role. So we should all get a piece of the work going so that the burden will not so much lie on the quality managers and their coordinators. We need the involvement of staff. So from the quality office, from the top management, when we are planning things, let's bring it down to the staff. Let the decisions be taken together so that when it comes to implementation, people will not feel like they are pushing it down our throat. We've all decided to do it, and we will do it. We need to be able to follow trainings. There are online trainings that will enhance our skills in quality management. The Institute will have to identify trainings that are relevant, train people, and when they come back, they should pass on the information so that we cascade the knowledge to the whole Institute. Everyone is informed, everyone will be involved. Motivation has come for staff, all staff, senior members, junior members, senior staff, everyone should be motivated one way or the other. And I want to plead with HODs that we shouldn't wait for central administration only. At the departmental level, we can begin to identify people and motivate them so that by so doing, more people will get involved. We can balance research and QMS activities by making sure that everyone is doing what they have to do. We are not leaving all the work on the quality office, because if we do not involve the QMS in our research, we focus only on the research, a time is coming soon, we can't even publish our research findings because our labs or our processes are not accredited. It's important that we integrate quality into our research. That's why we say when you think research, think quality. Sustainable funds. All our fears have been driven away by the assurance from central administration, top management, that they have plans to get funding. So when JICA funding ends, QMS will continue and even get better. That is a good assurance. We need to collaborate within the department, different projects, and among the department, different departments collaborating. We have learned from parasology that they've started pulling resources together, having a common store. If other departments can emulate that, it will help us so that we reduce the waste and also the time that we spend waiting for one pipette tip to come from Karamo. If we know we already have it in somebody's project and it's at the stores, why not? We get the work done, become more productive. Senior members, please take QMS serious. Get involved so that you set as examples and mentors for the junior ones to follow. These are a few of the thoughts that I have captured. I know you have more than I did. Thank you all for being a part of today's panel discussion. Thank our panelists so much. Mr. Tia, thank you for your time with us. We appreciate it so much. Prof. Gansa, Mr. Aye, thank you for sitting here. For those who asked questions or made comments, we appreciate all your comments. If I haven't thanked you yet, thank you very much. God bless us all for being a part of this. I'll do one more round of acknowledgement and then we'll bring it to an end. Money is blood. That's what I can say. That one I can say is Sikai Mucha. So, those who gave us money, we are grateful. JICA for the entire project, SISMES, Michiu Corporation, Sumitomo Corporation, SIC Life, for giving us both money and your time. We thank GSA for being here. We thank CSIR Food Research Institute for being here. We thank all of you, all categories of staff, from director to everyone who is here, students, interns, all of you for being here. We thank the individuals who have contributed money, internal funds that were given from projects and elsewhere. I go over the list again for the records. Please, if I leave you out, let me know, but thank you. God has seen, he will reward. Mr. Raymond Fachu, Miss Eunice Obey, Dr. Samuel J., Professor Michael Ufori, Professor Irene Aye, Professor Kojo Asamoah-Kusi, Professor Kojo Kuram, Dr. Chantal Agbamebiase, Dr. Ivy Asantewa Asante, Professor Kofi Odo, Professor Kofi Boni. If you haven't given, our doors are still open. We'll save it for next year. Once again, thank you all, JICA Ghana office, for being here, and all others. We appreciate your presence. God bless you for coming. So, one announcement before we go. SISMES has a stand downstairs. Please visit their stands and see what they have to offer. I'm sure they have some supplies for our lab work. So please visit the SISMES stand downstairs. From here, we will all step out, we take photographs, and so from here, we'll go and take pictures, then we can go back to work and come back for the quiz in the afternoon. Today, 3 departments are doing the quiz. I don't remember their name. Immunology, Central Administration, and Epidemiology. So come, let's support them. The winner will meet in the finals on when? Friday, right? On Thursday. Okay, so there's quiz starting at 2 p.m. The quiz will start right here. Thank you all for coming. God bless you.